You are listening to the Unleashed and Aligned podcast, where we strip away the noise, unleash our truth, and align with our highest self. I'm your host, Coach Felicia, a life coach, energy guide, and your biggest believer. Now let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the Unleashed and Aligned podcast. I am here with Mo Christensen. Mo grew up in a small town with 3 older siblings and a younger sister. Even as a young 4-year-old, she was known for singing, dancing, and making up stories. This personality drew people to her, and she became an excellent listener. In 2015, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. She went downhill quickly, walking only with 2 canes at the age of 21. With trial and error, she was put on the right medication and began to improve. Through a lot of hard work, she ran a half marathon 1 year later. She got married and finished her studies at university in exercise and wellness with a minor in psychology. Mo has 6 years of experience working with the mental health population, as well as 2 years of coaching clients at an anxiety treatment center. Now she helps mompreneurs get back to their time and double their income without sacrificing family time. Welcome to the podcast, Mo. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my goodness, your story is incredible. I especially love that you ran a half marathon. How was that? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
So it was great because my dad ran it with me.
Oh my gosh.
And because of where I came from and how sick I was, it made it even more special because when I was at my sickest, I had to move home. And so I really increased my bond with my parents because it was just me and them at home as I was healing, improving, and my dad started running with me. And it was fantastic.
That sounds amazing. What an incredible journey. Tell me a little bit more about yourself and how you did this kind of your illness spring, your exercise or for this exercise. And sorry, I'm like trying to gather my thoughts.
Right.
Your, oh, what is wrong with me today? I am so sorry.
That's the coffee. You told me it's coffee.
What am I trying to say? I want to say certification, but it's not certification. Your degree.
Degree.
Yes, thank you. Did this spring your passion for what you got a degree in, or did you already were interested in the subjects that you had learned through school?
So all through middle school and high school, I was a runner. I loved running. And then when I went to university, I had been studying for 3 years, exercise and wellness, psychology, when I got sick. So then I ended up having to move home to live with my parents because I wasn't able to be independent. And then from that point to being able to run a half marathon, I learned that with anything, especially health, you have to do tiny little things over and over to actually be well physically and mentally and emotionally. And that's how I did it. It sounds really fantastic when I say, oh, I went from 2 canes to running a half marathon in a year. But in that year, there were tiny steps that took me all the way up the stairs.
And I love that you mentioned that. And I've said this before on the podcast is about these. We're just talking in my last interview about these micro steps to achieving anything really, and how so many people have this like all or nothing mindset. And I love that you said, it was these tiny steps, but you did it within this year. And if somebody is looking at trying to accomplish something, whether it's a physical thing or not, they might think, if I do these little tiny steps, it's not going to add up. But to me, if you're able to do that within a year, that's fantastic. That's amazing. And so I think that's super inspiring. And if anybody's, for the listeners out there that are wanting to do something, I think that it's amazing to say, just start doing the little things
Mhm.
because you're a true testament that it adds up and it's worth it. It's worth those tiny little increments. So I love that.
And you start messy and small. I remember the first time I ran around my parents' front yard independently
Mm.
after being sick and unable to walk, and it was, like, the best moment of my life. And
Yeah.
then after that, I would go on runs with my dad, but I had to hold on to his arm because I had bad balance. So it's these little steps, and it took me all the way to running a half marathon.
That's amazing. I love that. So does your dad still run today or?
He does. He
Oh,
runs 3 times a week.
awesome. Awesome. So I'm going to dive into the questions. And my first one for you is, when did you realize you were playing small or holding yourself back?
So there was a point when there was a month when I had very childlike behavior. I wasn't really present in my own mind. I don't remember this month. So I was basically like a special needs girl. And then when I was put on the right medication and started to improve, I came back to myself like in my mind, but physically I was still like had double vision,
Mm.
only could walk with 2 canes, and I was really depressed and felt like my life had no meaning or purpose or what was I even here for? And I prayed a lot. And one day God spoke to me and told me that as long as I'm helping people, then I have a purpose, even if I'm helping people by letting them help me, because that helps people too.
Wow. That is
And
amazing.
yeah, and so at that point, that was when I was like, okay, I'm going to get better. And so I started, like, I would go to the gym. I would go on walks. I would go on the runs with my dad, holding onto his arm. And as I got better, I started doing more. And that's the thing is with the little steps, you don't just take the step and leave the last step behind. That step comes with you. And so you take the little step and you keep that little step and move on to a new step. And it compiles because you're keeping it all with you and moving yourself up.
Wow, that's incredible. I literally got a little teary-eyed by the letting people help you. That statement is so incredible, and I think so many people need to hear that, so thank you for sharing that. That was amazing. Well, what did you have to let go of in order to become more of who you are today?
A lot of fear. I didn't get the fear to disappear, but letting the fear hold me back.
Yeah.
Because with my illness, there's a lot of uncertainty. I really don't know what my future holds. It's a progressive disease. Like I could go back downhill and that's just how it would be. And so I could live every day in fear of what was to come, but I choose instead to enjoy what I have. I have 2 beautiful children. I'm married. I'm working on a business. Like I have a beautiful life. Even though my future might have and probably will have difficult things, I can have a really happy, positive existence right now.
I love that. So, what advice would you give to somebody that maybe is in the early stages or just got diagnosed with something and they're in that? Because I can imagine, and I have been in states where when you first go through it, there is like that depression. And I think that's completely normal. And I think that there is a time for that to process. But what kind of advice would you give to somebody that's maybe going through that doesn't seem to see that light at the end of the tunnel and maybe has been stuck in it for a while, like a long time or quite a while?
Yeah, so it's definitely good to let yourself take time to grieve. And when you get stuck in it, that's usually because you're focusing on missing out.
Hmm.
Like you are anticipating missing out on stuff. So you're trying to predict the future, but you can't. And so the joy that I've found is in living in right now. And so the advice I would give is don't worry about your future or what this means or what's to come. Try to focus on what you already have right now and allow that to actually be as beautiful as it could be if you let it blossom.
That's great advice. I love that. When you're feeling stuck or disconnected now, what helps you get back into that realignment?
First, I have a good cry. That's just how it goes. I cry a bit. I like to go on walks. That always helps my mind to reset. Just getting out of indoors, getting outside helps me align myself with who I actually am, connecting with the earth and moving my body. So yeah, when I feel misaligned, I like to go for a walk and after I cry a little bit, and it's once you let yourself release that, you're back at the place where you can start taking small steps again. Like it's okay to let yourself be at the bottom of the stairs because then you can step back up.
Yeah, that's great advice. I love that. My last question I have for you is what does being unleashed and aligned mean to you personally?
So to me, it means knowing your purpose and actually allowing yourself to have a choice. Because a lot of us allow our busy schedules or anxiety or fear to make our decisions for us. But if we know what we value and what's important, then we can choose this is the way I want to go and not be controlled by fear, not be controlled by feeling anxious or worried about things, or even like busy schedule. Like when you think about it, we all have the same amount of time. And if you're super busy and feel like you don't have enough time, it's because you're obviously misusing the time you have because it's not in alignment with your values.
I love that. I actually did a podcast on the busy schedule because that's something that
Mm.
comes up within my coaching. And yeah, it's all about what you're putting as a priority. And like you
Mhm.
said, if you're not paying attention to what your values are, then you might be putting a priority higher than another priority because you're not really paying attention to what those beliefs and values are. I definitely resonate with that and I believe in that statement. Wow, it was so incredible to talk to you today. You have so much to give to people, and I'm so excited for people to hear you on this podcast. I know you're going to help so many people, and just within the work that you do. Is there anything else that you're led to share, or do you have anything upcoming that you want to talk about?
Anyone can reach out to me. Like even if you just need a little encouragement, I'm here to support and help.
I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you for being on the podcast. I'm going to put all of your stuff in there. And before I go, you help mompreneurs, right? So
Yeah.
moms that are developing their own businesses.
Yeah.
And is there anything that you want to touch on within that scope that maybe comes up for you that you think would be beneficial for any of the mompreneur listeners?
Yeah. So a big issue for mompreneurs is that we feel guilty when we're working and guilty when we're not working. And so if we notice the thoughts we're having that lead to that guilt, then we can reframe them to a place of gratitude and focusing on being grateful for things takes away that guilt. If you're grateful you have kids, then you'll feel less guilty about not spending every second with them.
I think that moms that aren't starting their business can have some of that. My sister-in-law, I can definitely hear that sometimes in her voice when she allows herself to have some time, maybe to herself or some space away from the kids. So I think that is something that's going to really resonate with people, women, and definitely needed in that entrepreneur space as well, because I can completely see how that can transition when you're trying to build a business. Because just going to the grocery store or getting coffee with your sister-in-law is a hard space to be in for some of the moms. And yeah, I think that you're doing amazing work, and I can't wait to hopefully have you back on the podcast again. But yeah, it's been wonderful talking to you. I think your story is incredibly inspiring. You are an amazing person. And I definitely think that not only within the work that you're doing right now is something that you're meant to do, but I think just telling your story is something that you're also here to inspire others and help others persevere through all the things that they're going through. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review so that we can connect with more people to develop our mind, body, and spirit.